Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome on a Tuesday
I
to
know.
the football fans of New Jersey. Coming to you a little bit early. Honestly, sometimes that's not such a bad thing, right? Because I don't know about you. Sometimes you need a glass of wine on a Wednesday, on a Thursday. You want to start your weekend early. So here we are on a Tuesday.
I gotta tell you, I need it every day of the week. Let's be honest there. And I'm really excited. My wine glass tonight is my spooky wine glass. It's not my full spooky wine glass because I'm gonna wait. I know October 1st is this Friday, which I'm so excited about.
I can't believe
But given that it is the Tuesday before October 1st, I did want to debut one of my really, really cool spooky wine glasses for you.
Fair enough. Well, this is, I guess, as you just were mentioning, I can't believe September is over. This is our final September episode of the Real Football Fans from New Jersey. It is episode 176, and we got a great one for you tonight.
We do.
Let's start with some poll questions that we asked you guys. We have 2 in the world of football, and we have 1 for housewives. And they were pretty close. So first question was a real nail biter, switching back and forth all day long. We asked you guys on Twitter. We asked you guys on Instagram. But question number 1 was, which 0-3 team has the better chance of winning this weekend? The 0-3 Lions when they face the 1-2 Chicago Bears, or the 0-3 Colts versus the 1-2 Miami Dolphins? Split by just 1 vote. 51% of you said that you think the Detroit Lions have a better chance of winning this weekend when they play the 1-2 Chicago Bears. Kate, what did you go with?
Honestly, like the Lions and the Colts really have great weekends coming ahead of them. Being just where they are right now, 0-3. It's not a great spot to be in. Obviously, we are aware of that. Very down in the dumps. Not a great place. But to have these teams come up on your schedule, that's like a sigh of relief for me. I'm like,
winnable games. These are like must win
to really turn your season around for sure. But honestly, I think maybe I should factor. I think I went with the Colts on this one when I voted on it earlier. And as I'm looking at it right now, I do think Miami has a couple of hiccups. Listen, I don't think Jacoby Brissett played bad. I think he actually kept them in that game, but who knows if Tua's coming back or not. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts on this one because also too, I think Detroit is playing well. I've said that before. They're not an 0-17 team, in my opinion. But I'm just going to give the slight edge to the Colts here. I do like a couple of more areas on their team a little bit more.
I went with Detroit. Detroit has, like Caitlin said, played a lot better than we kind of expected them to. They've been in some of these games. They really have been. But also, you got to focus in on the opponents as well. Spoiler alert, we always give you our picks. I do have Detroit winning this weekend. I do have them beating Chicago.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
Very, very ugly for the Chicago Bears this past weekend, starting Justin
Fields. Ugly.
And I did not pick Indy to win. I actually really, really like what I saw from Jacoby Brissett. Tua is not going to be playing. He's still going to be out. And I just like the chances better for the Lions on this one. Question number 2, we're going to reverse things. Reverse.
I was going to say I was going to hand you an Uno card, a reverse.
Ooh, Uno, that kind of reverse.
I don't have, I was going to say I don't have Uno with me, but that would be a nice little reverse.
So we're reversing the order on this one. Which 3-0 team is more likely to lose this weekend? Do we see the 3-0 Las Vegas Raiders losing to the 2-1 Chargers, or the 3-0 Denver Broncos losing to the 2-1 Baltimore Ravens? 60% of you said you believe Denver has the greater chance to lose their game when they play Baltimore. Caitlin?
I got to tell you, I am so much looking forward to Monday night next week with the Raiders against the Chargers. Like, I think it's going to be a very good game. I potentially see the Raiders' honeymoon being over at some point, and they're not going to go undefeated, but I think they might have a stretch of losses.
And this is a Chargers team that was capable of beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. So, But when it comes to being more likely, like those are the key words here. Like, you have to look at that scenario. I am going with the Broncos as well. I sincerely think the honeymoon is over for them. You look at the teams that they beat. I am shitting on my own New York Giants. It's 3-0, but they didn't play the greatest teams of all to start off 3-0. And Baltimore, listen, just got their biggest life back put into them. And we'll talk about it later, obviously, with Mr. Justin Tucker. But, they got some good juju coming their way. And I think they've kind of got that spark. So I just think they're going to give it to the Broncos this weekend for sure.
Spoiler alert, I have both of these 3-0 teams losing this weekend. But as far as if I have to pick one that's more likely, this one came down to their opponents for me, not so much them as a team themselves. And I just like that Chargers team a lot more than I like the Baltimore Ravens team. Baltimore barely beat the Detroit Lions this past weekend. So I went with the fact that I think it's more likely that the Raiders would lose to the Chargers. I think the Raiders are a better team than the Denver Broncos, but I think the opponent of the Chargers is harder than the opponent of the Baltimore Ravens. So it's kind of like you got to look at all sides of it on that one.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, this is a Housewives question. We have Real Housewives of Salt Lake City has been airing. It's been great. I think we are 3 episodes in now, which begs the question, should Mary Cosby be a full-time housewife on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? We've questioned this so much in the past. It's kind of one of those things where I think a lot of you know where Caitlin and I stand on this one, but it's one of those things we got to ask because I'm like, I want to know how everybody else feels about it. 68% of you said no, she should not be a full-time housewife. I know a lot of the time in the past we have said we think she should be in a friend role.
Yeah, I agree.
She doesn't add a ton of storylines.
And they're like 2 seconds long. Like they'll go to her and it's real quick. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to this season with the whole like cult storyline. Like I just hope they don't like really stretch it out. And it's like, here, you're only getting this much in this episode, this much in that episode. I don't even, you know what I mean?
I think the cult storyline is her obviously her big storyline of the season this year. But my question is, are they so desperate to create storylines for her? Like how legitimate is this whole
That's fair.
storyline?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they pull on certain stuff just to like make things happen. Like Melissa Gorga talking about, do I want to have another baby?
I know. Yeah.
All right, let's be real.
Right.
Like you guys are reaching. So I'm curious if that's like a legit storyline or if they're reaching because they have nothing with her.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those were our questions. Caitlin, I know you want to give a little disclaimer before we start the rest of the show.
Yeah. So just a little public service announcement for us. So we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So StreamYard and Twitter recently changed up like their, settings and everything. So Periscope is no longer a thing. So we don't stream through that anymore. So we're directly through Twitter. Unfortunately, StreamYard has a weird block to them. So there's a ton of people watching on Twitter right now. I'm looking at it on my phone. Unfortunately, I can't see that you're watching through StreamYard, nor can I see if you're commenting on our posts. So if you're commenting on Twitter and you're liking and you're saying all of this stuff, that's great. Like, thank you guys. But unfortunately, we can't see it live right now. So if you have comments for us, if you have questions, please go to our YouTube channel. You can go to Facebook too if you want, but I'd rather you go over to our YouTube channel. So our YouTube is under the link on Twitter. So you'll just see us live. Like, hey guys, you're watching us live right now. I can see there's a ton of people watching. If you go right underneath, there's our YouTube. If you have any commentary, I would just recommend going on there. So we do have hope. StreamYard did say it'll probably be not fixed, but an update in the future. But I know a ton of our live viewers come from Twitter. So we love you guys. Keep watching us. But if you really do want to comment, just head over to YouTube and we'll engage with you there. But I know you're watching now, so we thank you guys for that.
Yep.
So with that being said, let's get into our big stories of the week for football. And unfortunately, we have to do this again, but we do have an injury roundup for you guys. And it's going to keep coming week after week. I think there's something in the water. There's something on the turf out there. People are just getting injured. Yeah. It's not great. So Carolina's rookie cornerback and first round pick, J.C. Horn, is likely to be out 2 to 3 months with a broken foot. This would end his 2021 season. You really don't want to see that from a rookie. He was an eighth overall draft pick, and he has started every game so far. So big loss in Carolina there for sure. And it's interesting because I feel like we're seeing a lot of broken foots. Like that's like a common thing this year so far. There's always like, years past, like I think like 4 years ago or something, it was like the year of the ACL. Like everyone was tearing their ACL. This year, we're seeing a lot of the foot injuries. We're seeing, some things are ACLs. We're seeing a lot of, I feel like, pectoral injuries, which always, every time someone says that, I'm like, oh my God. Like
that
honestly,
the worst.
Like that literally looks so bad. So there's definitely like themes year after year. And I do always question kind of like what's going on behind the scenes, like everything like that. So on Friday, Ian Rappaport reported that, again, down in Carolina, running back Christian McCaffrey is expected to miss a few weeks due to a strained hamstring. So they're not going to put him on IR as of now. I know that was a topic of discussion, that night, the day after, everything like that. So he did exit Thursday's game, and rookie, and apologies if I pronounce this incorrectly, Chuba Hubbard filled in, is going to be the starter moving forward. So big blow again to Carolina, big blow to Christian McCaffrey coming off of an injury from last season to only deal with one week 3 of this year.
Kind of question Carolina a little bit in the fact that Christian McCaffrey unfortunately has been injury prone before. That their next guy up is a rookie who, I will be very honest with you, I've never heard of him, which to me tells me he wasn't drafted in the first round or the second round, probably not even the third round. So I just feel as though they should, maybe they just really like this kid. I don't know who else off the top of my head they have on the roster at the running back position, but like maybe plan a little bit better because unfortunately, when you have guys that are just have a history of injuries, like, yes, it's Christian McCaffrey and you hope he is your workhorse all season long. But I don't know. I just think they should have had somebody else. Like, you just got to have a 1-2 punch nowadays. You really do.
It's with every position too. Okay, so my brother's commenting on Facebook. He is a good running back. He had over 3,000 yards at Oklahoma State. So it's not bad. So yeah, so definitely right to Katie's point. Maybe they are really liking this kid, so he can definitely come out and perform. But I think that we're seeing this a lot. It's a common trend, in the NFL these days that, you can't, one guy really can't do it all for you. Like a lot of people joked, and we'll get into this, like that the Giants had like 7 or 8 guys in their wide receiver core, like going into the season. They're like, wow, you already need all those people. Like, we're going to get into it. Like, yeah, actually, because these things do happen, and you want someone there when a big name like McCaffrey goes down. Okay, now what? So you can't just, and I never am the one, you can't put everything into one guy. That's stupid. You can't do that. Yeah. But you can mold around one person, and you really can. That could be your set standard. Right. So if you don't have a backup for him that's really known, or maybe here's what we're going to do in the receivers, here's what we're going to do with tight end, quarterback, things like that to make up for it. I'm seeing that trend a lot in the NFL these days, that big names are going down, and it's kind of a question mark of what they're going to do now. So
yeah, but like and I'll say this, it actually is kind of like not as common now, where there's only probably a couple of football teams in the league right now that have one guy as like their main workhorse running back. He's getting all the carries. But it used to be a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, like he had that role. And now here he is splitting carries with Tony Pollard. Like, it just kind of is what it is. Yeah. First off, it's a passing league. It's not a running league anymore. No. And number 2 is I think it's just got to be running back by committee. Like, there's maybe only a couple of guys that could really take that workload. But even then, like, if that guy goes down, who do you got? So I think it just needs to be that you've got a vet there or a known guy who's going to help you, who could help relieve some of the workload off of those guys, and share the carries.
there's really no time or room in this league to be scrambling for who that next person is.
Right.
And definitely some positions have more depth than others.
Right.
But it's really, the teams that are struggling when they are scrambling to find that next person to fill in that spot. So,
yeah.
All righty. We did mention this a little bit earlier, but and it hurts. So Miami's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, is on IR with a rib injury. So the team hopes that he's going to return by week 6. Backup Jacoby Brissett filled in for him on Sunday for his first start since 2019. So Brissett went 32 for 49 for 215 yards and 1 rushing touchdown in the team's 31-28 overtime loss to the Raiders. And I did mention this earlier. Listen, Jacoby Brissett kept them in that game. I liked the way Miami looked against the Raiders on Sunday for sure. So it was one of the more exciting games that I was watching, where I was watching to the last second of it to really understand what was going to happen there. But listen, that sucks. I feel bad for Tua. It hurts. That one hurts me for sure. Not happy. It's one of those injuries too, where it's so questionable, like a rib injury. Like what is the severity of it? But then you think
used to play with broken ribs. So.
I know. Probably why it wasn't that great for so long. But you think about it too. It's the constant push here. Doesn't matter how much padding you go. It's probably breathing at this point is painful for Tua. So I'm hoping that they're making the right decision. By week 6, he comes back, things are good. And I'm hoping to see, obviously good things from him.
Yeah.
And then, this one really, really hurts. Grab the tissues, people, because Katie and I are literally heartbroken. So linebacker Blake Martinez for the New York Giants is officially out for the rest of the season. He tore his ACL in Sunday's game. So we're out 2 captains. Nick Gates went out with a broken leg 2 weeks ago in our home opener. And then now we are out with Blake Martinez. Really, really, really hard, this one. Katie and I love Blake Martinez. We constantly say, why wasn't he spoken about more in Green Bay? He really, really, really delivered that drive for the New York Giants. And I know we're 3 games in, we're kind of questioning to where the defense was. He was a huge name for us on defense last year. He was getting those tackles. He was making those plays that we really needed. And this team is going to really need those playmakers now, and not having him, not even just, on the field making those plays, not having him for a little bit when he's probably going to go through surgery and things like that, on the field as a voice, as a leader, this really, really hurts.
Yeah, it's a huge loss. I feel as though a lot of the time the linebacker is the quarterback of the defense. They're the ones shouting out the plays. They're the ones looking at everything and getting everybody set up, calling out what's going to happen. And Blake was that guy that was in on every single play. So he's a tackling machine. He's just a good dude. No surprise whatsoever that he would be named captain. Kind of laughed because when we found out who the captains were a couple of weeks ago, I laughed to Caitlin and I was like, we have 8 captains. I like all of them.
We need
that. Now we're already out 2 of them.
I know.
It's crazy. And that's a huge loss for us. It's very upsetting. Time to unleash Jabril Peppers on that defense.
I agree.
Yeah.
But he's MIA, but Jabril Peppers is MIA. And there's also rumors that they're going to try to shop him and get rid of him. So honestly, I would not want to do it either. But if it's going to give us
hold on to, listen, we still got playmakers, and it's just we need everybody to step up. Jabril, Leonard Williams, Logan Ryan, Bradbury, we've got playmakers. So they've just gotta, unfortunately this is what it is, and everybody's just gotta step up.
Yeah. And then also too, wide receiver Sterling Shepard was banged up a little bit in the game, expected to miss some time. But I think I read a tweet yesterday that he might be back on Sunday. But here's another thing too,
on that one.
That's why I made the wide receiver comment before. Galladay was on the sideline for a little bit. It's Darius Slayton went to the locker.
Was left the game.
Like this is why people, you gotta have numbers. So it's definitely was a huge. There's many reasons why we lost on Sunday, but the injury bug came in hard, came in quick, and it did not leave until the fourth quarter. So really, really tough game on Sunday.
Yes, it was. Well, speaking of other game action this past weekend, we're going to give you our week 3 thoughts. It was a good one. Honestly, there were a lot of really, really, really good.
I'm very satisfied with the NFL season so far. Obviously,
the Giants haven't been delivering, but the overall NFL.
Have I cried myself to sleep the 2 Sundays and the Thursday night? Absolutely. But have the other games kept my interest and made me excited for just football in general? Hell yeah.
Yeah. So Carolina, they're 3-0 for the first time since 2015 with a 24-9 win over Houston. Atlanta kicker, obviously this was Atlanta versus the New York Giants. Atlanta kicker Younghoe Koo kicked a game-winning 40-yard field goal to beat the Giants. 17-14. Not cool, Younghoe. Not cool.
Younghoe. Like, you go do like your thing, like you're a great kicker, one of the best in the league, but like when you do it in New York, like it's personal now. So I'm not a big fan of yours right now.
Obviously, we spoke about this game last week. It was my get it off my chest, and Caitlin agreed with me on this one. Obviously, that it was Eli Manning's retirement ceremony, his jersey retirement at halftime. It was Eli Day. It was all about number 10. It was all about getting the win for number 10. And to lose in that fashion is obviously another just complete heartbreaker, back-to-back heartbreaks for the Giants and their fans.
No, it's seriously, and just like, and we are obviously a football podcast. So like, eventually, from time to time, you guys will hear Katie and I vent like on these games and things like that for sure. But we got to keep it real to all the footballs. But at any time, you come over to my Twitter, go to our Instagrams, you can see the real feelings behind a lot of things. But it's just right now is definitely tough for sure. But I gotta tell you, I had a hilarious tweet last night. I'll get into it later because it's more of my get it off my chest. But it kind of takes the pain away to joke about things.
Listen, like I said, like some people just become numb to it. I'm one of those people. You just kind of grow to expect it. I did pick the Giants to win last week. I am going to be done with that from here on out. I said it, and it's done. Over. It's done.
She's done.
Hopefully that's like good. Like they do the opposite of what I pick. We'll see.
Listen, I hope so. Like that would be incredible.
Yes. Okay. Chargers, they upset Kansas City 30-24. What a great win for that team. Kansas City has now lost 2 straight games for the first time since weeks 5 and 6 in 2019. So it hasn't happened in a crazy, crazy, crazy long time. Kansas City is 1-2. Who the hell would have ever thought that?
Should they be nervous? Like,
no,
I don't know.
No, I'm not nervous for them at all. But it's weird. It's weird.
To see them last in that division is just wild.
Yeah. So Caitlin got her upset pick right. Cincinnati upsetting the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-20.
My last minute upset
win for the Bengals. It was their first road win on the road playing at Pitt for the first time since 2015. So Joe Burrow is honestly, he's taken this team in a great direction, and
I love it.
It's definitely they might. I don't know if it's going to necessarily be this year, but I could see like how it didn't happen right away for like Baker and the Browns. Like I could kind of see Burrow and the Bengals like going that road.
I can see that division in the next 2-3 years being almost like the AFC West, like a very, very competitive, like, are they going to send 3 people? Who's going to win? It's right. I'm excited to see what
you can make that argument now, but like everybody was like, oh, Cincinnati's the outlier. Like 3 of those teams can make the playoffs. It won't be the Bengals. Well, like next year we could be saying
it could be. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Chicago, this is like the craziest stat in the world. They had 1 net pass yard in their 26-6 loss to Cleveland. Yeah. Justin Fields did get his first start. He went 6 for 20 for 68 yards. But the fact that he was sacked 9 times, and for the amount of yardage that he was sacked and everything like that, when you do the math on that one, he had 1 passing yard. Okay. awful, awful, awful day for the Chicago.
I did have someone tweet at me, like, at least that the Giants' loss wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, listen, the losses have been, I'm so pissed that we are 0-3. Like, so pissed. But to lose like that is fucking embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, at least, like, and I said this was my, like, we answered one of the questions last week of, like, how do we get over things? And my new way of getting over things is actually really nitpicking the game. Like, I can actually pull good things out of each game.
You
cannot pull anything good out of that game. Nope. Like, no. You're right. No. And that is bad. Like, that's what keeps me off the ledge every week.
It could be worse. Okay, so the GOAT. The absolute goatiest GOAT of all time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'm like the biggest fan in the world of this guy. Baltimore kicker Justin Tucker kicked a game-winning 66-yard field goal to beat Detroit, 1917. It is now the longest field goal in NFL history. It's only right that this man holds that record. Okay,
he's got to. He was made for that record.
I'm dying to see, for shits and giggles, like, please, before Justin Tucker's career is over, let him kick a 70-yarder.
I just want to see it.
I want to see it.
That's what, like, I wonder. Like, the Ravens have been very ballsy the last 2 weeks with, trying to go for it, having Lamar make that decision, with Jim Harbaugh being like, you want to go for it? Let's go. And then you want to kick this 66-yarder? Like, let's go. Like, go for it. But I wonder how many games, like, they've been in that range or where he's just kind of like, you want, like, let me, come on.
Well, 100%. Come on, guys, come on. That's my mind that he's over there on the sidelines being like, let me do it. Let me do it. I can make it. But it's, it's very interesting because having Justin Tucker is a complete and utter weapon to be able to have somebody that can kick like that. Because I think it was our buddies at Talking Giants who had mentioned that we punted in the game this past weekend when Graham Gano could have attempted, I think it was like a 56-yard field goal.
Oh, I know.
Graham Gano hasn't missed in how many? Like, 56 is not outlandish.
That was one of my biggest takeaways from Sunday. One of the things I was pissed off the most. Like, he could potentially make a 66-yarder.
I think all 32 kickers in the NFL should be able to go out and attempt
and try it.
Yarder. And I would say that probably at least half, if not more, I think would make it. Right. So Graham Gano has shown you nothing but positive.
That pissed me off.
There. That's terrible. But
that was so bad.
A guy like Justin Tucker, where you can say 66 yards, sure, let's go. Sure. That's the most ultimate weapon I can think of.
I know. And honestly, it is just like the whole like sequence like of the kick of it hitting the crossbar too, and like all of Detroit thought it was gonna fall forward and fall back. Like, honestly though, like, it just, the whole, like, you have to do like the Titanic, like da na 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 na. The whole
loss for Detroit. They played their hearts out. They really did, against like not a crappy team, like against the Baltimore Ravens. But honestly,
that's what I keep saying about Detroit.
You can never count the Baltimore Ravens out as long as they got the leg of Justin Tucker.
Absolutely not.
Arizona Cardinals, they're off to a hot start, 3-0 for the first time since 2015 with a 31-19 win over Jacksonville. Denver, New York Jets, with their 26-0 loss to Denver. The Jets have now lost 12 straight games in September. That is the longest active NFL streak. So listen, it's ugly for everybody in New York right now, unless you are the forgotten New York team and you are hailed from Buffalo. But other than that, at MetLife Stadium, things are very ugly right now.
Very ugly.
Las Vegas, another 3-0 team for the first time since 2002. So that is going even further back. They had the 31-28 overtime win over Miami. And then we had another game-winning field goal. This was a phenomenal primetime game. Green Bay kicker Mason Crosby kicking a game-winning 51-yard field goal to defeat San Francisco 30-28. Aaron Rodgers marched them down the field to get them in that position to kick that in like 5 seconds with no time left. It's what Aaron Rodgers does.
That's what he does.
Frustrating loss for the 49ers, but awesome game for all of us to watch.
Yeah, it was. And I got to admit, I did go to sleep I know. I've been actually really good this season with staying up and watching every single
you have
game.
been. You have been.
So, but I did, and I do regret it for this one for sure. But I went to bed like right before like all of it happened. You know, it was still, and it has nothing to do with like being a good game or not. Like people, you just don't understand. Like I fell asleep on the couch. Like I was sleeping. Like I can't control that.
It's allowed.
So I did fall asleep on the couch, and like I get groggy and I go to bed or whatever. But my boyfriend had been over, and like he like literally when the game was over, he was like, "You just missed," and then of course I'm still like groggy, sleeping, and I'm like, "What?" Literally. And so to have that explained to me, like as I'm like dead asleep, I was like, you know what I mean? Like I could like so yeah, but obviously like catching up on everything. The next day it was really was good. So, but it's been good football.
We've been getting really good primetime games.
Right.
Which is awesome. So that's been great. I think we have some good ones slated for this weekend. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, we are officially into week 4 and another really good slate of games coming at us. Some great, more, even better primetime games. I mean, I know, like I said earlier, I'm really looking forward to next Monday's game. It's going to be a good one for sure. But let's go ahead and get into our picks for the week. Katie and I do this every single week for the entire NFL season. And not only do we give you our picks, we give you a 1 lock and 1 upset. We do have to give our disclaimer week after week. We do not base this off money lines. We do not base it off anything else. We are just straight up giving who we think will win the game, not based on any particular player, any stat, anything like that. So if you want to go ahead and take our advice and move forward, maybe you're in a survivor league and you want to use us for that. Maybe you want to take a look at your fantasy teams after we decide who we think are going to win this week. That's totally fine. But we always have to give that disclaimer because, listen, if you want to spend your money, you spend it in any way, which way you want. Don't hold it accountable to us, though, because we ain't those people. There's many people you can go follow for that. So go ahead and get them. All right. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, actually, I thought there was a lot of options for the lock pick. I know, like, I do think this is going to be a good week of games, but I did feel like there were some really lopsided matches. Mm-hmm. But without further ado, my week 4 picks are going to be the Bengals, the Titans, Kansas City, Dallas, New Orleans, Minnesota, Detroit, Buffalo, Miami, Washington, the 49ers, the Rams, the Packers, the Ravens, the Buccaneers, and the Chargers. My lock is going to be Buffalo over Houston. And my upset, first off, I'm 3 for 3 on my upset picks this season, people. So if you want to listen,
I'm doing well too.
Maybe the upsets. I'm going back-to-back weekends where I am going with Minnesota. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings over the Cleveland Browns.
All right. I think I think we're pretty good this week. I think we have a couple, but again, mine are out of order. So you got to check me on this one.
I'm pretty good at counting as you go.
When you go, I'm like, what? Where is she? It's like I lose you after the first one. So I'm like, I don't know where you are.
I got you.
Alrighty. So I am going with Cincinnati, Atlanta, Buffalo, the Detroit Lions, Carolina, the Colts, Minnesota, New Orleans, Tennessee, Kansas City, the Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, Denver, the Packers, the Patriots, and the Chargers.
Ooh, I know what your upset is.
My lock is the Tennessee Titans over the New York Jets. And my upset is the New England Patriots over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This is a huge upset.
This is a huge game. It's in Foxborough. Tom Brady is coming back to his old stomping grounds. I don't know. I can just see this spark in Bill Belichick's eyes where he's like, you know what? You are not winning on my turf. Mac Jones is going to come out and light it up that game. And that is my big, big upset of the week.
So I'll be honest, I don't know if this week you randomly read them faster than you did the other weeks, but I lost.
Oh, sorry.
But I do,
I got to take a picture of it.
I actually do feel like we have a decent amount different.
The ones that you picked Miami. I didn't pick Miami.
I picked Miami.
I know that. And then the other teams, you picked Tampa, obviously.
I think you picked Carolina somewhere. I don't know who they're playing.
Yeah, you picked Dallas. You picked Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think maybe 4
and
off.
honestly, Tennessee over the Jets, that was almost my lock. Like, I feel like there are some solid lock picks this week. So.
Yeah. Yeah. We probably had like 4 or 5 different. Yeah, maybe I think I did read them fast. Sorry. Everyone listening is probably like, ah!
It's rapid fire. I couldn't.
We always post them. Don't worry. We always post them now. So don't worry.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of housewives. We're going to come back to football for our game, but a little bit of a quiet week.
Yeah.
This week
It's like not much going on.
World. So we're kind of just going to do housewife quick hot topics, things that we saw that came up that we want to bring attention to. We talked about this, I think, on last week's show. Yeah, about the Real Housewives of Atlanta potential cast shakeup. We did tell you that we were going to keep you updated on that because obviously there were some big rumors swirling around and they came from Radar Online and we didn't know if they could be trusted.
True.
But it is official.
It's true.
On Monday, Cynthia Bailey confirmed that she will be leaving Atlanta after 11 seasons. That is huge,
it's a big loss for them.
Big deal. Yeah. A source close to production confirmed that her departure was her decision. She was not fired. And obviously, if you are a fan of Atlanta, fan of Cynthia, sad to see her go. Fans will still get to see her on Bravo's upcoming All-Star crossover series, The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. So you will get.
She's on the first one to confirm. So I know they're filming the next one now, or they just finished filming the second one.
That's another one of our little tidbits.
Oh, sorry. She is on the first one. I know we mentioned the second one a couple episodes ago. So I didn't.
So a couple months back, I think Cynthia was on Wendy Williams, and Wendy Williams was actually said herself, I think you should leave the show. Like, I think you're done with the show, and it's no offense because we love you and you're great and this and that, but I don't think there's anything more that you can give. And she jokingly was like, we don't want to see you get divorced. Like, we don't want to see you go through turmoil. Like, your story is good. Like, you've given everything. Like, maybe it's just time to go. So I don't know if that really resonated with her, but it apparently was her decision to depart.
I mean, no offense. I really wouldn't take advice from Wendy Williams.
I agree. But, I mean, it puts the idea in
the idea.
And,
I understand.
And what she's saying is not wrong.
No.
So we'll see. Besides the crossover series, we'll see what's in the future for.
Well, listen, maybe her being on the All-Star show also gave her that extra, like, maybe if she wasn't asked to be on All-Stars, that's not the end all be all, but maybe that was her riding off into the sunset.
And
like,
listen, 11 seasons is really long. Like, I think at some point it's just kind of like, okay, enjoy a little bit of quiet time. Like,
on an OG cast or an OG franchise too. Atlanta is literally is like the bread and butter, like one of the OG like franchises. So to be on that for 11 seasons, like, you are the Vicky Gunvalsons of the world. Like, you are like all of the Ramona, like, you are these people, like 100%. Yep.
This past week, Andy Cohen, he appeared on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and revealed, and this has got to be a stat because I think this is the first time ever, but I could be wrong, revealed that the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 11 reunion will be 4 parts long.
I can't believe it. There's not enough. I'm sorry. There obviously is a lot of drama with like Erica Jane and everything, but like there have been so many other franchises where there's been so much freaking drama, and it could have been, I would have hated it if it was 4 episodes, but
yeah. Well, Andy explained that they did not want to leave any content on the floor and that this is probably the best season of Beverly Hills that they've had in a very long time.
I don't believe that. No.
Erica Girardi took to Twitter when she heard the news that it was going to be 4 parts long. Her reaction saying, now what would make it 4 parts?
She was like, it was because of me. Yeah.
It's me.
It's not, she's not wrong. That's all they're probably going to talk about. That's all they're going to talk about.
Yeah. Andy said that they really, I think it came out recently too, that they didn't really expect Erica to like unload what she did. I think Andy said somewhere was like, ask me if we talked about this or not? And the answer is yes, like 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Because like we went over everything. So it's going to be really interesting.
All right.
Okay, and last one, the second season, as we were just talking about, the second season of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip has started to film. And my favorite little factoid about this so far, because I did not know this, we didn't know what the format was going to be.
Right.
It is being filmed at Dorinda's house in the Berkshires.
It's
the Berkshires
perfect.
was like the seventh castmate of Roni. Like it was like
Right.
a castmate in itself. And so when Dorinda left the show and we didn't get her house in the Berkshires anymore, we were all pretty devastated about that. So to hear that the women are filming there is really exciting. I love it. Photos have appeared of Vicky, Tamra, Jill, Dorinda, Taylor, and Brandy filming. There are also still those rumors of Eva and Phaedra joining the cast as well. Vicky and Tamra, like early little rumblings and rumors, have apparently hit it off with Brandy, and they've become very close, and hinted that they may even have found their newest Tres Amigas. So the three of them are getting along like gangbusters. But we're a little more interested in the drama. I know with the first season, we heard that Ramona was already getting off on a bad start with the women. So I'm kind of like, give us the juicy stuff. Like, we don't need the kumbaya stuff. Tell us what's really going down.
Yeah. Well, apparently, one of the dramas is that Vicky is like, I guess she doesn't want to get the vaccine. Which honestly, at this point in time, you literally just do whatever. I don't know. Like, but it's not your job to tell people what to do. That's what I'm trying to make. Whatever, everyone's gonna have their own.
Very grown adults. Yeah.
You can all make your own decisions. That's great, but you also don't have to tell people what they want to do. So apparently, but she's, crazy because she's saying like things like, oh, like they're going to microchip you and you're going to die.
You're going to die.
Yeah. So it's basically it's not even just like listen, like, I don't want to do it because I don't want you to tell me what to do. It's more like, you're going to die. You're going to get they're going to watch you. So she's like a very little crazy.
She's crazy.
So, and we all know that though. Like, she definitely is crazy. So that's interesting. I'm interested in that because I assumed that they all probably had to be vaccinated, or I guess maybe they're going through tests every day. I know a lot of whether it's companies or productions or things like that are
definitely, like, all the TV shows and the networks have taken extreme precautions.
Right. So I can only assume that it's like, if you're not vaccinated, you're getting tested every single day. So
because they know if she ends up testing positive too, that completely halts production.
Yeah. So that's why I'm curious too as to why it's at Dorinda's, because the first season is like 2 weeks long, I think. So are they really spending 2 weeks at the Berkshires?
I don't know. Like, at first we heard that season 1 they were going away to an island. We saw that. We saw the photo and video evidence of that on social media. And then we were told that this format was going to be completely different for season 2. They were going to be like taking turns hosting a show, and it wasn't going to be them going away to an island together. So I don't really know. I still don't know what the format is, other than at least some of it is going to be filmed in the Berkshires.
Well, we still need a freaking login to Peacock. So if
somebody
anyone,
give that to us, please.
If someone has one, like, just give us access. Like, it's just so
cool. Don't be uncool.
Yeah, don't be uncool. Like, it's so annoying at this point. Like, I want to watch it, but like, you're making me jump through all these hoops. You're making me spend money on something that I've been watching for 10 years.
I've dedicated my life to this.
More than 10 years. I'm going to be 30 years old.
More than 10 years. I've
been watching New Jersey or even Orange County since like
I was in high school when I was watching my first season of Roundup.
Yeah, so more than 10 years. So like, come on, Bravo. Like, you literally give us more than that. Like, we deserve more. Don't take my money. Don't take my money. You've taken years off my life. Don't take the money.
Let's do this game, though, because I like this game and I like these questions.
This game is a lot of fun. So this is one of our OG games. We have so much fun playing with it. Honestly, if you're watching, play along. And it's
been a hot minute, actually, when I was, putting this together and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I typed in to see like when the last time we did it. I think it was like April. It's been a real hot minute since we played.
So this is one of our OG games called Scipio Drank and Fill in Yo Blank. So Katie and I will walk through 10 different, basically like they're not quite, they're statements, and we're going to give our statement. Obviously, when, if you are watching along, you want to play along. If you have a beverage, whatever you want, as you make your statement, you take a drink. Really fun game. And if you're watching again on Twitter, if you want to comment along, you got to go over to YouTube. But if you're just watching and you're hanging out tonight, it's 8:00. Crack open a beer, pour a glass of wine. We are here for it. It's been a rough 2 days so far in this week.
It's Tipsy Tuesday tonight, people. Let's do it.
So let's play along. So again, we have 10 here, and this is an NFL related game. So let's go ahead and get it started. So the NFL division that has looked the most solid through 3 weeks is.
I think there are a couple options here. So if you didn't agree with me, like I could see you going with somebody else, but I went with the AFC West. Okay.
That's what I went with.
Kansas City is in 4th place in that division right now with a 1-2 record. And we all know Kansas, there's nothing to worry about. Kansas City, that record doesn't reflect the Kansas City Chiefs. But you've got Las Vegas and Denver, 2 like random teams that you wouldn't expect at 3-0. And then you've got the Chargers at 2-1. The Chargers beat the Kansas City Chiefs. These are 4 really strong, legit teams right now. I had to give it to them.
Yeah. And I do have to, I remember earlier in the show, I have to correct myself. I meant to say the NFC West earlier, but I said AFC West earlier in the show on something. But I think it's because
West is like a close second, by the way.
No, I know. But I said it earlier in the show because I was making a statement to just a division that's always really good. And that's what I was thinking of. But my mind is so set on the AFC West. That's why I said them. And that was my pick here. And I do have in parentheses that the NFC West is such an obvious pick for anyone entering the season. You know they're all going to do well. You love seeing that competition. But I love the competition I'm seeing from the AFC West right now. And that's why I went with them, because I'm just so thrilled to see another division kind of rank up, have 2 3-0 teams, a 2-1 team. And then obviously, the Chiefs, that's your question mark when in the next 4 weeks, they're bouncing back and coming up.
Also, the 2 strongest teams, in my opinion, in this division are the Chargers and Kansas City.
Are the last 2.
One of them are the 3-0 teams. So
I know.
Pretty amazing what we've seen so far from this division.
Absolutely. So I'm happy that we agreed on that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, the NFL division that has looked the worst through 3 weeks is.
I'm kind of giggling in my mind because shockingly, it's not the NFC East. I really don't think it is. I'm going with the AFC South.
Oh, we did not agree with that.
Just statistically, they have the least amount of wins of any division right now, okay? They only have 3 wins. They've got Tennessee at 2-1. They've got Houston at 1-2, which Houston is they're not a good team. They're not.
Yeah.
And then you've got 2 teams with 0-3 records with the Colts and Jacksonville. This is a really weak division right now. And I think it's going to continue to trend that way. Tennessee is obviously the strongest team there. Houston is not good. Jacksonville is not good. Indy should be better, but realistically, they're not right now. So this is through 3 weeks, this is the worst division in my opinion.
So I am agreeing with you, but I had to put the NFC East in there. I can't overlook it, because even with last night's game, Dallas really rolled over the Eagles. It was not a pretty sight defensively for that team.
Right now, one strong team.
But even with Dallas, I can see them having major hiccups over the next couple of weeks and not performing well.
Very, very, very impressed what I've seen from Dallas so far.
I don't know. So I'm going to sip my drink there, because I do agree with you on the AFC South, but I got to add in the NFC East to that pick as well.
Listen, this is just through 3 weeks, so it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the season if we're saying the NFC East. But right now, I see both. Yeah. I see both.
All righty, number 3, I would kill to have blank on my fantasy team or teams if you're a psycho like me and have 3.
I'm in one league. This is based off of my team. I could use a little bit more help as far as wide receivers go. This is a man who's leading the league in receiving touchdowns and receiving yards right now. He clearly has something going on with his new quarterback. I am going with Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp.
And I have him. I draft him every year because I love Cooper Kupp. I love him. I draft him every year. He always comes to me in a great spot. And again, he could be someone that people potentially sleep on. And I know that sounds crazy, but he falls in my lap every single year.
Well,
and
yeah,
I
that's the thing about Cooper Kupp too, is like, that's not a guy you're taking the first, second, third round. Like, so to get whoever you are in your league, whoever has Cooper Kupp, you know, you probably got him at whatever point.
Right.
And the value that you are getting from him, from where you took him, is substantial. Good. So hats off to Cooper Kupp and what he's doing so far.
Hell yeah. And thank you for everything that you've done for me so far. In the past, like 4 years, everything that you've done for me. I love it. I just honestly, I try to get him every single year, but it's obviously impossible. I really wish I had Derrick Henry on my team. Like, oh my God, he's so good. And I think first week, my running backs are not doing like as great as I thought I'd be. And I have some of the top guys out there, and it's really frustrating so far 3 weeks in. He has definitely performed, and he always does. And I would always, one day in my life, I have to have him on my team. And
so Derrick Henry is definitely like a top 5 fantasy pick. So like, you know, whether you're getting him or not, or have the chance to get him kind of already based on where you're drafted. Like, I drafted 9th.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting Derrick Henry.
So hard.
So it really just, sometimes it just falls on the roll of the dice and where you are drafting in your league.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody would kill to have him for sure.
All right, number 4, I think blank will lead the league I think this quarterback will lead the league in interceptions this season.
So I'm going with the guy who is currently leading the league in interceptions right now. Unfortunately, I'm going with New York Jets rookie Zach Wilson. And the reason I'm going with him is, you know, even if you're leading the league in interceptions and you're throwing pick after pick after pick, I think we could both agree that like Zach Wilson is going to be starting every single game for the Jets this year. Whereas another quarterback, if they're going to be throwing pick after pick after pick, they might find themselves on the bench. Like Zach Wilson, number 2 overall draft pick. Like, he is the guy. Like, you've got to just let him get over those rookie like hurdles and everything like that. So I think the fact that he's going to be playing all 17 games, and he's already, you know, he's got 7 right now. Him and Trevor Lawrence are tied for the most.
I was going to say, I think that he's tied with Trevor Lawrence.
He's tied with Trevor Lawrence. But I think this is just going to be Zach Wilson, unfortunately. And it happens to many rookies. So it is what it is. But that's my pick.
So I'm going to play the game. I'm going to sip my drink.
Okay.
Fill in the break. I'm agreeing with you with Zach Wilson because I was going to throw it to the rookies regardless. I was going to, any rookie out there right now. I'm just not, whether you're starting or they're throwing you in randomly. It's not, I think this rookie class needs a lot of time, which is fine.
Yes.
Totally fine. I want to definitely, put that out there. It's totally fine. The reason why I picked Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence is that I think Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback. Yeah. I think he's going to make smarter decisions under pressure. And I think Zach Wilson, unfortunately, just doesn't have the bodies around him or the skill set that Trevor Lawrence has. So I think it's just going to fall to him to continue to throw more. And even if it ended next week where he threw more, or maybe one more, it's just still going to be more than Trevor Lawrence, I think. So I'm going to give it to Zach Wilson. Yep. All righty. I think this quarterback will lead the league in touchdowns this season.
We talked about one GOAT earlier in the show. I'm going to go with another GOAT on this one. I'm going with Tom Brady. The man is just, he doesn't slow down.
He's got like 10 so far? He's got a lot, yeah.
He's got 10 right now. Yeah. He's leading the league with 10 right now. But he finished 3rd in passing touchdowns last year. So he was up there. He threw, I believe, 40 last year. Leads the league right now with 10. But the fact that this is like his 2nd year in this offense, 2nd year with these teammates that he played with last year, he has so many freaking weapons. It's ridiculous. It's going to be Tom Brady. I really think so.
Yeah, I do. I like that. I think it's definitely like one of the obvious picks. And you know me, I like to go outside the lines a little bit and see, what I can do. This pick might shock some people because he is not my favorite person in the world. He is not my cup of tea.
Okay.
I don't really like him, but from what I've seen from 3 games,
Matthew Stafford.
No, but we'll talk about him later because I know you love him. But I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I think he's going to, I don't like him.
I know. So, I know. Yeah.
Just as a person, not a fan. But yeah, so it just, you really can't deny what you've seen from 3 games from him. I think Arizona's done a good job to really build around him and to give him those options. He's going to take the ball himself when he wants to. And I just think that, he's definitely going to do his thing, and he could be competing with Tom Brady for sure near the end of the season with this.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, number 6, I think head coach blank is my early hot seat candidate for getting fired this season.
This was an easy one because after this past weekend, like the media world was already lighting on fire. The seat is hot right now. It is scorching for Chicago Bears head coach Matt Nagy. People are calling for that to be done. Like, you are out. It is over.
Yep.
My celebrity crush is Jake Johnson from New Girl. He's from Chicago. He's a huge Bears fan on Instagram during, on Sunday. He just posted something to his page that was literally just hashtag fire Nagy.
Oh no.
Over it. They are done. This is going to happen. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, that's what I picked. Yep, 100% agree. And it's based off this.
It's hot already.
Yep, it is.
This might be the earliest I've seen the hot seat get this hot for somebody this early. So it's not going to be good.
All righty. Number 7, I think the blank, the AFC or the NFC conference has looked better so far.
I don't have a ton of notes written on this one, but the way I went about it was I kind of looked who were the strongest teams. Mm-hmm. But then I also looked at who were their weakest teams? Are those weak teams?
Right.
Who got the better, weaker teams? I'm actually going with the NFC on this one. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've got a team the Giants and somebody else. Detroit is 0-3 in the NFC. I think the AFC has 3 0-3 teams. And one of the weaker teams at 1-2 in the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks. And I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, granted, AFC has the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs, but I just felt when I looked top to bottom, I was more impressed with the teams that I saw in the NFC.
But I honestly, I picked the AFC and I literally did the same mindset as you, but just the opposite.
It's close.
Because but I think for the first time in a while, it is close. We always are really leaning in towards one. And I think right now we really are even. And it's even by everything that you just said, looking at your strongest teams right now, but then looking at your weaker teams. In my opinion, last year, the AFC was pretty weak in some spots, and now you have teams that are going 3-0, and now they're your stronger teams to some teams in the NFC that we've known year after year are doing really, really great. And like the Seahawks, for example, and they're 1-2. So
it's pretty even right now. It was actually a really hard question to go over.
But, it was.
I think we'll see more shape and we'll see more change as we have a couple more games under our belts. Mm-hmm. But I think it's pretty damn close. It doesn't surprise me that we went opposite because it is that close.
Alrighty, number 8. The most impressive quarterback through 3 weeks so far has been.
I'm going to correct Caitlin because I don't love this player. I've always respected his game, and I've never understood why Caitlin didn't respect his game. I am going with Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford.
So we agreed a lot tonight, I have to admit.
He has 9 touchdowns and only 1 interception. So
those are my notes.
He's 5th in passing yards. I think one of the most impressive stats that he has right now, 70% completion.
Yeah.
That is a really, really, really good completion percentage. It's really high. And this is with a brand new team and a brand new offense, but he's clearly put in the work to be successful in his new home, and he's doing it. And honestly, the Rams are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Like, look out. I'm afraid of them. I think like we all saw Cam Akers went out and people were like big on them. And then that happened and people were like, no, they're rocking and rolling and they're having fun in LA right now. They are enjoying themselves. Sean McVay was fired up.
He was. Oh my God. I need that energy every day in my life coming from
hype man. What a hype man.
I know. Sean McVay, I need you to hype me up every single day. But yeah, so I'm going with Matthew Stafford as well. I think all of the stats, they're written on my sheet as well. You can spew off numbers as you want. The most impressive thing for me is a quarterback transitioning to a brand new team and not a young quarterback, someone who's been in the league for a while.
Doing it flawlessly.
And the thing too, and one of the things I love about Eli and Peyton's, broadcast every Monday is that they do dive into these details, and they have, they spoke about it with Stafford actually last night. But they did bring it up on last week's broadcast because of Jared Goff with the Detroit Lions. And obviously, Peyton has that experience of going to a new team. You're with someone for so long, plays in your head, they click, you memorize them. And then even simple words, like Eli was mentioning it, he doesn't have that experience, but he's saying like, this word means something different in another team. This means that. So for you to constantly do that, and Jared Goff is still very much looking at his armband, and that's fine. He should get used to things like that. Matthew Stafford, that is why I'm giving the credit to him here too. Yeah. Like you said, he has done it absolutely flawlessly. He has come in, and it just shows that he's really putting in the work, and he really truly cares about this new spot. And I think, I will admit I've given him a lot of shit in the past for sure. He has not been on my top list, but it goes to show you, new team, new coaching, you put the right people behind you, you can actually shine. So I think he actually is doing what maybe I wanted to see.
And I'm happy for Matthew Stafford because he's not a guy, he's very similar to Eli where he never threw his team under the bus, even though he's always been on a shitty Detroit Lions team. Right. He's never one to point fingers or blame. So I'm kind of happy that he's finally, because he's a very talented quarterback, and he's finally getting the opportunity to play for a winning organization. Right. And I feel like this is his time to shine, and he's seizing the moment. He's seizing the opportunity. And so I think it's really fun to actually watch.
Yeah. All righty. Number 9. I don't know why people don't give more credit to blank.
Oh my God, I say this.
I don't know if I'm right, to be honest.
Time and time again, because I just don't understand it. People do not give enough credit to Seattle Seahawks wide receiver.
They do not.
They just straight up do not. He is 4th in receiving yards right now, 3 touchdowns. He did get hurt in this past week's game, but still is 4th in receiving yards with missing some time in that game. Him and Russell Wilson are on another level together.
They are.
Okay. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if he played for a different team and a different quarterback, maybe things would be different. But listen, he plays in Seattle and he plays with Russell Wilson, and he puts up mega numbers every single year. And then like fantasy comes around and people don't want to touch it. I don't really understand it. So Tyler Lockett, respect to your name. I believe in you. More people need to believe in you because you've proven yourself time and time again.
So mine might be like people probably do. I think they do put credit to his name, but maybe it's not as overly enough as I think people should. And because he's someone that I look at, so I could be wrong here for sure, but maybe it's just I'm not reading into what people are saying enough. But I'm going to go with Minnesota's Adam Thielen. I really just don't like, and he has put up the numbers. So far he's 4 touchdowns and 181 yards on the season. Last year he did have 10 touchdowns. So good for him. Like that's great. It's a lot. So
he puts up the numbers though.
The numbers are there. I think it's the name. I think it's the Vikings. I honestly think it's the Vikings.
He also used to play with Steph Diggs. So Diggs was kind of like the number 1 guy, and he was the number 2 guy, even though really on a bunch of teams, he is the number 1 guy.
He 100% is the number one guy. And if you even look at Justin Jefferson, who he's next to now,
Right.
Jefferson's not really the number one guy, but he's the young guy. So the attention is going there and the numbers are going there. So that's where my mindset was at for a while. And I think the credit is given to him, but I think it's on another level because of, like you just said, there's always someone next to him that people are overlooking him maybe, or just wanting to give the attention there. And everything like that. And the two, I really do think the Vikings have been such a questionable team over the past couple of years. So that's another factor of being overlooked. And just, maybe the excitement isn't truly there. But I think Kirk Cousins and him have found a really good connection. He's there for him and everything like that. Yeah. I would love to have a guy like Adam Thielen on my team. So that's why I went with that one for sure.
I agree with you. I think that was a really good pick. And I do believe he's underrated as well. So.
And our final one, I don't think blank is as good as their stats may appear.
I am not going to jump on any kind of bandwagon whatsoever with this player and honestly with this team. I went with Sam Darnold. I know a lot of people were like, this is going to be his opportunity to actually play for a team that has weapons that could win football games. And did I expect him to go there and play better than he did for the New York Jets? Yes, I did. He's got really good stats right now. That's why I'm using him as my answer, because on paper, it looks really good. But do I really think that this is like a long-term franchise quarterback?
Potentially not, no.
Yeah. I'm really not a big believer in Sam Darnold. I think he's suspect. And it was like my easy, didn't even have to do any research for this answer. Just that was immediately popped into my head.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick for sure. So mine is pretty much based off seasons past numbers because right now I think this season so far proves my hypotheses around this player. I'm never going to fully go all in on Juju Smith-Schuster. I really sincerely cannot. And I beg all of you not to as well. He never truly made himself that wide receiver one when he had to. He put up numbers when he had to, but we're going into 3 weeks right now and he's got some zeros across the board. Like he sincerely does not have much going on for him.
There was also like when he first entered the league, there was a little bit of like almost like Odell Beckham Jr. hype around him.
Right.
And he got people really excited really quickly.
Right.
And then he's kind of fizzled out from there.
And you're going to, it was the hype around, you're going to replace Antonio Brown. Like you're the guy, but he never became the guy. He never put up numbers, obviously, when they needed him to as the wide receiver too. But when he became the guy, it almost like blocked everything. Like he was better at a wide receiver too.
Right.
So, and to me, that's not going to cut it for sure. So I've never, after, really seeing that and him not molding into it and what I've seen so far within 3 weeks, there's nothing there. And you can look back on previous seasons all you want and really like those numbers. He's not going to do it moving forward.
And this answer that you just gave, it works too, because at the end of the season, he's still probably going to have 800, 900, maybe 1,000 receiving yards. But it's just kind of like I don't think he reached his ceiling as a player. I just don't. So I agree with you on that one as well.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was an awesome game.
It was.
Very, very fun. Enjoyed that one a lot. But it's the point in the night where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, housewives, football, life, wine, tipsy Tuesday. What do you have for us? Caitlin, you go first.
Well, obviously, we've been talking about records all night long with the NFL. Yeah. I have to, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Eli and Peyton's record of 3-0 for their Monday Night Football broadcast because they've absolutely delivered week after week. I've been loving it so much. I know if I get it off my chest 2 weeks ago was that I loved the first episode, loved last week, loved last night. Oh my God, these two they crack me up. They've been great guests on. We've talked about it. They bring on guests that are playing right now. So Matthew Stafford was on last night. Had to admit, I tweeted out, he's glowing in LA. He's glowing. He is. Nick Saban was on last night. I had to wait until the fourth quarter, which killed me because I wanted to go to bed so badly. But Eli and Peyton kept me entertained for sure.
Yeah.
So Nick Saban was on, loved watching that. He was like calling out things and he was like, oh, like, the team should do that. 5 seconds later, one of Dallas or Philly was doing them. And it was just like, that's why Nick Saban is literally the smartest football coach.
They had LeBron on too, who called out a play and he was right. And that was a fun guest as well. They're bringing on great people. It's very entertaining.
Yes, but honestly, the best part of the show, and I actually did have to catch it like right away. I walked out of the room to go to bed, to be perfectly honest, and I had to catch it live on Twitter because when it happened. Best part of the broadcast, Elijah flipping off live television, giving the double bird to everyone out there. In full context, though, Chris Long from former Philadelphia Eagle was on the broadcast. And he had to say, so what Eli was basically saying was like, listen, when it's a division rival game, when I went to Dallas, like, people would chirp, they would do their things. A lot of the guys like wanted to take pictures with me. They wanted to do whatever. He was like, that's how Dallas was. He didn't bring up Washington, which was funny because I feel like we all don't ever talk about that. But he did bring up the infamous story where it's very much out there because it happened probably like 6-7 years ago. The Giants played in Philly, and as Eli was walking around the field, and he claims it was a 9-year-old Eagles fan, just leans over the edge and was like,
I think he said it was a girl.
That was a girl.
I feel like he said that.
Regardless, a young Eagles fan just leaning over the thing saying F you to Eli Manning. And he says that he will never forget that moment, that a young child in Philly. So he was like, this is how you get treated in every NFL stadium when you go to Philly. Yeah. This is how you get treated. So he was reenacting it. And the hilarious thing was that he's talking to himself and he's like, yeah, like, don't worry. Like, you guys can blur this out or whatever. ESPN did not blur it out. It happened on live television. And they did not go back. But the best was Eli going back afterwards and quote unquote apologizing. He did not apologize. He was like, I found out that they didn't get blurred out and this is frowned upon. He goes, well, that actually happened to me. He was like, so I was just reenacting it. So Eli gave a half-ass apology for flipping off all of Monday Night Football. Beautiful week. Katie and I have had a ton of fun with it today on social media and everything like that. But Eli, you keep doing you. I'm loving this broadcast. It's giving me so much life. Unfortunately, it's off for the next how many weeks?
Yeah, they're coming back on week 7. So they're taking a little time off. I'm very heartbroken about it.
I'm very heartbroken.
It's in the bright spot. I haven't been killing it in fantasy. Obviously, the Giants are 0-3.
Yeah.
This has been the most fun that I've had with football this season is watching those two.
Yeah, it's been great. It's honestly like they are giving all the regular broadcasts a run for their freaking money. And obviously you need your traditional broadcasts, absolutely. But this is
the best that I like. This is the most entertaining that I've ever seen.
It's honestly great. And Eli and Peyton do not skip a beat. Skip a beat. Archie was on last night too, which was great. Like it's just it's a Manning extravaganza, and I'm here for it.
It's been incredible. I love it. I love it. I love it. I told Caitlin, I was like, if you're doing that, forget it off your chest. You also have to give the negative and bitch about the fact that we won't get it again until week 7. I'm very upset about
that. That is the negative.
Mine, I can vent. I can bitch and moan.
Get it off your chest.
Mine is about fantasy football because I have this player on my team because I kind of went for him early and I thought he was going to be like the best player on my team and everybody was going to be so jealous that I had him. The Atlanta Falcons are not using rookie tight end Kyle Pitts. It's so disturbing and so frustrating, so pathetic. He was drafted 4th overall. I think that's the highest the tight end has ever been drafted. Going into the NFL draft, all the analysts said, if you're going to pick the most athletic person in this entire draft, it is Kyle Pitts. The expectations were huge, and they have not used him. I am furious. I have him on my fantasy team. It is not panning out for me. There's probably 10 tight ends that I could have picked after him that are putting up more points. Very frustrating. But he did play college football at the University of Florida, and his teammate was Kadarius Toney, our first round pick. I know people have, especially Kadarius, has been upset that he has not been used at all in the Giants offense. To me, it's like, Kadarius, you can't say anything if your teammate, your former teammate, and your boy Kyle Pitts is not even being touched, and he was the 4th overall pick. So it could be worse. Either way, neither one of these guys are being used. I don't really understand why. It makes no sense to me, and I hope for my fantasy sake that it changes. I hope for Giants' sake, especially with some of these wide receiver injuries that we're dealing with. Let's see the kid. Let him go. Let him go. So,
go off.
Quick, get it off my chest. I'm definitely not dropping Kyle Pitts by any means.
No, I have him too. I agree. It was something,
very, very frustrating so far. So Atlanta, I don't really understand what you're doing, but get it together.
If I have not said it a billion times before, the Falcons are the sketchiest team ever. And they've been on my shit list for, I think, we've been doing this for over 3 years now. So since we started the show 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So here you go. Here's another point in case as to why they bother me.
And by the way, this is going off of watching them play the Giants this past weekend. Like, if you are a team and you're playing the Atlanta Falcons this season, shut down Calvin Ridley. He's the only one they're throwing it to. So, like, it's pretty easy.
And that bothers me too, because I love Calvin Ridley. You know, he's a Bama boy, and they're going to ruin his career. They're going to ruin him.
Defenses can figure it out. Like, that was the only person that saw the ball this past weekend. Shut him out, and you have a chance to beat him. Like, you know what I mean? And then hopefully shut him out, and Kyle Pitts gets some touches. So we'll see how it goes. But Atlanta, you are frustrating as hell. So thanks for that.
Yeah, they are. They are. All righty. Well, as we close tonight's show, thank you all, obviously, for joining us live. You're listening to the podcast. Thank you guys for listening as well. We do want to remind you, if you're watching live, do not miss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is on tomorrow. It's on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Real Housewives of Potomac is on Sundays at 8 p.m. And then Salt Lake City is now on Sundays at 9 p.m. So obviously those Sunday slots, you want to hit the DVR because we're watching football. For their primetime games this week, on Thursday night, we have Jacksonville Jaguars against the Cincinnati Bengals. Sunday night football is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New England Patriots. And Monday night, we have the Las Vegas Raiders against the Los Angeles Chargers. Great primetime slate again for us people. So got to be excited for sure. And then college football this weekend, you have number 2 Georgia versus number 8 Arkansas at 12 p.m. This is on Saturday, by the way. Number 7 Cincinnati versus number 9 Notre Dame at 2:30 p.m. We have number 1 Alabama, Roll Tide versus longtime rival number 12 Ole Miss at 3:30 p.m. And this is all Eastern time too, people, by the way. And then number 19 Oklahoma State versus number 21 Baylor at 7 p.m. So that's your night game on Saturday on the East Coast. But you have a great slate of college games. We have a great lineup for primetime games for the NFL. And as always, you do have a great lineup from a Housewives standpoint as well. Absolutely. So thank you guys always for joining us live. Again, we are a podcast as well, so you can listen to us on demand on all of your favorite podcast outlets, Apple Podcasts, the Spotify, anything, I don't know, Google Podcasts, I think people listen to, Stitcher, I don't know. We're everywhere. So you can Google us podcast. We're there. And also too, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're there, The Real Football Fans in New Jersey. So thank you guys as always for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you. Good night.